IELTS Cast, episode 36.
You're listening to IELTS Cast, the podcast that puts you in touch with successful IELTS candidates from around the world. Listen and learn as they explain how they achieved Band 7, 8 and even 9. Now, here's your host, Ryan.
Hello and welcome to IELTS Cast. Today I'm speaking with Prasenjit, an IELTS candidate from Calcutta, India. Prasenjit took his exam and scored an overall band of 7.5 with individual bands of 9 in listening, 7.5 in reading, and band 7 in writing and speaking. And Prasenjit is here and he's going to tell us about how he scored these amazing marks. Hi Prasenjit, welcome to IELTS Cast.
Hey, hi Ryan. It's my pleasure to be here and helping the aspiring students with their IELTS examination.
So, Prasenjit, why don't we build a bit of a profile about who you are and your connection to the examination. So, why don't you explain why it was that you took the IELTS?
Actually, I have done my graduation in India and did 1 year post-graduation in finance. Then I wanted to go abroad, to pursue my higher education. So IELTS was the examination that I had to do to get admission in universities outside.
What country are you looking to study in?
It's mainly Canada and New Zealand, but I had also applied in Germany, where there are a few universities where there are, they offer degrees which are taught in English. Mm-hmm. So Germany is another country where I'm looking for.
Where ideally would you like to go?
Because I want to do a PhD. I'm planning to do a PhD. So if I get a chance in Germany, that will be great actually.
Let's just start by talking about your relationship to the English language. So tell us about that relationship. Did you grow up studying English? Did you speak English in your household growing up?
Actually, no. My mother tongue is Bengali, so it's Bengali is all around when I grew up. But the school where I was, the school was English medium school. Mm-hmm. So the main mode of education was English. So from that, I think I have learned English.
Was this the first time that you took the IELTS?
No, I took IELTS around 4 years back. And I scored around 7. It was just 7 actually. The overall band was 7, and that time I scored 8.5 in listening.
Okay. And but were all scores above 7 at that time?
No, that time I didn't do well in writing and in speaking actually. Mm-hmm. I got 6 in those modules, mm-hmm. But I did well in reading. That time I got 8 and 8.5 mm-hmm. in listening, and the overall band score was 7.
Okay, great. So then there was a 4-year gap, and then you took the examination again and managed to get above 7 in all sections.
All right.
Okay, let's go through then the sections one by one. So you scored perfect band 9 in listening, right. and it sounds as though that that was a pretty consistent mark between the first time you took the exam and this time, because I think you mentioned you got 8.5 the first time around. Okay, so just tell us, what's the story behind these high marks in the listening section?
First of all, you have to understand the accent, because it's mainly the UK accent that is used. Mm. So you have to go through some CDs that you might find it online, or you can buy it even from the stores. Mm-hmm. And the one point that I would like to mention here is when you're listening, right? When you are trying to find out the answer from the conversation, just wait till the conversation ends. Mm. Sometimes there can be something coming out in the conversation in the first 2 seconds, which you might think is the answer, but when the conversation ends, you find another things coming out, which is the right answer. So you should wait till the conversation ends. This is very important, mm-hmm. and then you have to remember the whole conversation and write down the exact answer.
That's very good advice, yeah. And I've heard that advice shared before by other candidates that the answer can be altered, and I think the IELTS does do that from time to time, doesn't it? It tries to throw a curveball at you
Exactly.
to make sure that you're getting the entire meaning out of the listening.
Right.
Well, that's a great tip. Now, you mentioned that you were downloading different tracks to train yourself for accents. Tell us a bit more about the tracks that you were finding online. Or were these sort of the TED Talks sort of educational lectures, or were these specific IELTS materials? What kind of materials were these?
You will find lots of. You just Google them. You will find lots of materials that is available. Apart from that, what happened is when in India actually, when you register with British Council for the IELTS examination, they also give you access to some of their materials. So you can download it or you can practice it online. Those are really very good practice materials, and it really helps you when you sit for the examination.
As far as listening and watching movies, did you do much of that in preparation?
Yeah, I used to watch lots of Hollywood movies, so that really helped me here. And singing songs and all. So when you watch movies and when you listen Hollywood stuffs or English stuffs, and you grow this habit of catching up the accent, and that really helped.
What were some of the testing strategies that you followed? Now, you mentioned that you made sure that you listened right to the very end of the listening before you answered the last couple of questions in each section. What were some of the other very specific testing strategies that you followed?
Are you asking me about listening or the other modules as well?
About listening.
About listening, whatever comes to you in the conversation, like any word which can be matched with the answer, just write them out, and just write those words so that when you again go through the questions and try to find out the right answer, those words or those little 2-3 word sentence can help you out.
And where do you note these? Do you note them in the margins of the testing paper?
Yeah, they allowed to write it on the question paper of the listening test, so you can write it down there.
Okay. Let's move on then to the reading section, and you scored a very respectable 7.5. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the preparation that you did for the reading?
The reading is the most, I guess, is the most vital one, and also is the most tricky one, because the questions that we'll see in your reading test will confuse you certainly. So reading, you don't have any shortcut for success. So you have to do as many practice as you can for reading, and the best way to do is try to buy the Cambridge IELTS books that Cambridge University Press. They you can find it in any store actually.
Yep.
Or you can buy them online. Those are the best books, and the materials is the best, and when you practice them, it will become really easy when you sit for the examination.
Okay, great. So it sounds as though you did a lot of practice testing before you got into your real exam.
Not really, just 1 week practice, but around 10 to 12 compositions. That was good.
I see. Are you a big reader?
No.
Now, did you train for specific skills like skimming and scanning?
No. What I did is somebody gave me one very important tip before the examination. He told me that what you should do is just read the question first, and then read the paragraph. That really helps you. It also helps you in save your time. So in that way, when you're trying to find the answer from the paragraph, it really gives you more time, and also you also know that which part or which lines you have to really concentrate on for the answer.
And were you underlining keywords in the questions as you went along?
Yeah, right.
And regarding transferring answers to your answer sheet, is this something that you did at the end of your reading exam, or did you do it as you were going along?
I did, yes, when I was going along with the paragraph, I used to write all the answers. I don't wait for the last 10 minutes to write down the answers.
Now, what was the environment like when you were in the examination room for reading? Did you feel comfortable, or was it some? I mean, it was obviously a test, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking. But how did you feel?
It was good actually, because British Council to conduct the test here, they try to give you all the comfort that is possible. But I'd like to say something didn't happen good last time when I went for the test, because there was a band festival, there's a rock festival going on, and we had to complete the test, and there are lots of music. So I guess those guys didn't know about that. But sometimes you have to be prepared for some awkward situation that might come your way.
Then how did you deal with that?
Yes, I means all of those guys. There was around 100 people were there. Sit was giving the test or taking the test. So those everybody faced the same problem. So one of the things that they did is they put the headphone on of the listening. While they were just going through the reading, they put the headphone on, so the sounds from outside would not come as
Loud.
it would have without the headphones.
Oh.
And these are a few of the strategies. Put one finger in the eardrums.
Yeah.
That is another strategy.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that you wanted to share about reading before we move on to the other sections?
There are many questions that will come which would ask you about yes, what do you think about the statement, like yes, not given, or no. So you will get confused between not given and no most of the time, because both of you would find that not given is also right and no is also right. So for the students, I would like to say is, until you find that particular thing mentioned in the paragraph, you should not go with no. Just go with not given.
And it is a trap that some students will fall into, is that
Right.
they don't see the answer, but then they think somehow it's mentioned in context or something like that. Let's move on then to the writing section. Now, it's sort of interesting because when we look at your listening and reading marks, they're strong. All four marks are strong, but your strongest marks are listening and reading, and those are the sections of the examination where information from the exam is coming to the candidate, and the candidate has to sort of digest it and produce and find answers in it. Versus the writing and the speaking, where this is information coming from the candidate as a demonstration to the examiner of their ability to communicate in English. If we look at the writing, you scored a band 7, and then you were saying on your first attempt 4 years ago you scored a band 6. What were some of the things that you would attribute to, I mean, I know 4 years is a long time, but why did you do better this time around versus the first time?
Oh, first time I did a horrible mistake actually. My band would have been better last time. But I did one mistake, is I just misunderstood one word, and that just ruined my test. So I just went on with the essay in a different direction that I shouldn't have.
What sort of things were you doing that led you to this band 7? I mean, how did you structure your essay and your task 1?
This time around, I just stick to basics. Just I tried not to do many grammatical mistakes, and write small sentences, not bigger ones. And another thing that I try to use new words that you might find in the dictionaries, and try to use more vocabulary. So that will give you some better marks.
So then you were preparing yourself specifically to include certain academic words and phrases in your response.
Right.
Let's talk about then the types of questions that you saw on the writing. What was the task 1 and what was the task 2?
You mean what is the question of task 1?
Yeah.
It was some people say that the advancement of technologies is not good for humankind. So what is your say, yes or no? There was 2 diagrams depicting an island, and there were some a diagram shows the island in 1990, and then another shows the island in 2010. So it's just to find out the difference and write it down.
So then, did you find it? Was that a fairly easy thing to write about? I mean, I guess it would involve a lot of comparative language.
It is actually very easy, when you know the difference, when you can see them. Like there's a building being erected,
Yep.
and there is no cafe in 1990, and there is another cafe in 2010. It's very easy to write down. It's more. I think it's more easy than some comparative diagrams which they give you, like the sale of pizzas in US in 1990 and 2010. So that is more difficult than this one.
I see. Now, if we look at your speaking, you managed to score band 7. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the experience that you had with the examiner in the speaking exam?
I would like to refer to my last test when I got 6, and I thought that I would do better, in my last test, but I could not. One of the problem that I faced that time was the examiner who was taking this test the examiner was is also like numb. What happened was there was no conversation between us. She was just asking me questions, and I was just replying. And at a time, it happened like this, that I just have to speak, and she would not look at me, and she would see something else, like her watch, or she would like to see the AC, and that made me more nervous. I felt like maybe I'm doing something wrong. And that thing was the main reason that I could not do well in speaking. But what I should have done was I should have carried on speaking, and I should have rather gone with my test, rather than thinking what the examiner is thinking. So it might happen to some of the students in future as well, that the examiner might show that she is not interested in what you are saying, but she is, or he is. So you should keep on talking, and you should keep on speaking about the topic, or about the question that he or she might have asked you,
Right.
rather than thinking what the examiner is thinking.
So then that was your first experience. So how would you compare that to the one that you recently had?
This was good. I guess I got 7. I could have got more than that. One of the reason is the topic that they gave you to speak for 1-2 minutes. So you need to choose the topic, and you need to make some points, and you have to practice for that. I didn't practice it last time, and even I didn't practice it as well this time as. So you have to sit in front of the mirror, or ask somebody, like your friends or family, just to help you out on this. Just speak up any topic, and just speak for 1-2 minutes. That really helped. This time what happened was the topic was not so comfortable for me, because the topic was try to tell something about one product that is manufactured in your locality. So I didn't find any product which is very famous or manufactured in my locality. So sometimes this tricky situation might arise, but if you practice it regularly for a couple of weeks before you sit for the exam, that will certainly help you.
So what did the cue card say?
The question was like, you just tell something about one product that is manufactured in your locality.
I see. And so what did you choose?
The part that I belong is very famous for mangoes. So I chose mango pickles.
Okay.
That was the first thing that came to my mind, actually.
Okay. And did you find that this was a subject that you could speak quite naturally about, or were you struggling?
For the first 1 minute, it was very good, but because it was not very common for me to speak about mango pickles, The next 30 seconds was not so good because I have had to to speak something that I have already spoken. So, so it wasn't that good, I suppose.
So, can you tell us a bit more about the examiner? Where were they from? How did they make you feel?
The examination this time, the examiner was very good, and she made you feel very comfortable from the very beginning, and she also helped me understand the process, and also where I should give stress, and like which are the most important part. So this time I would say the examiner was pretty good.
So, for your personal situation, will you be taking the examination again, or is this the end of your connection to the IELTS?
If I need to, I don't know, but the results are valid for 2 years. I'm just planning to go abroad in another 6 months' time.
Mm-hmm.
So if something happens and I couldn't go, then might I have to sit again. But I think this is the end of the story for me.
I'm curious, what sort of advice would you give to another student that is from Calcutta and is having trouble getting to Band 7?
People from Kolkata are very educated, and most of the schools are English medium, so they should not have any problem in getting at least 7 or higher. But there are some tricky things that might happen with you when you sit for the examination that I already mentioned, that you have to really work hard with your reading, practice harder. And about speaking, you should practice. These are the two things that you need to do. And if you are not very much accustomed or big lover of English movies, you should start watching movies and see some videos or listen songs, so that it helps you when you go with your listening test.
Prasenjit, that's wonderful advice. Thank you very much for sharing this information today.
Thank you, Rand. Thank you for giving me the chance if I could help somebody.
Thank you for downloading from IELTS.com. Have you achieved an overall band of 7 or higher on the IELTS exam? Why not contribute to the podcast? Contact Ryan at his blog, IELTS.com,